Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is May 11th. The Cubs have won 10 straight again. Giants and Guardians make a trade. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen? We are getting through the month of May here, about a third of the way into it. And we've got some more baseball to talk about in today's episode. But unfortunately, like we had to talk about last episode, we once again have to start this episode with the unfortunate passing of Bobby Cox, one of MLB's greatest managers in the history, has unfortunately passed away over the weekend here. I believe it was on Friday, to be specific. Bobby Cox, as the player, you probably do not remember much about him. He had 2 years with the Yankees in 1968 and 1969. He had a career 141 hits, a career 9 home runs, batted .225 and a .619 OPS. Not a great hitter, but however, as a manager, he became one of the greatest ever to do it. In my mind, he took over for the Atlanta Braves in 1978 and spent 5 years with the Braves, trying to help them in any situation. Unfortunately, never really succeeded there. In Toronto, he then had 5 years as the Blue Jays manager. 4 years really, from 1982 to 1985. That 1985 year was very special because not only was it the first time Bobby Cox led a team into the postseason with a 99-62 record, but it was the first time in Blue Jays history that they won their division and, got to a postseason. So that was a big deal then. After that year, though, the Braves asked to bring him back on, this time not as a manager, but a general manager, and spent the next couple of years being the general manager of the Atlanta Braves. And he was a big part in so much success that they were going to eventually get, bringing in talented players such as Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, David Justice. He drafted Chipper Jones in the first pick in the 1990 overall draft. Not the first overall pick, but it was the first overall pick that they had. But Chipper Jones, so many great Braves players that he got to take over and lead. But then in 1990, he appointed himself as the manager. Yeah, crazy that you could do that, and it still kind of happened. It was a tough year, though, in that second half of the season. However, he then appointed someone else to lead the Braves as a general manager and went back to being the manager for the Atlanta Braves. And this is where all of their magic really started happening. From 1991 all the way down to 2005, 14 straight years, he led the Braves to a postseason, winning 4 NL pennants, including the World Series in 1995. Of course, this was coming back from the players' strike. The only year he technically didn't lead the Braves to playoffs was the year there was no playoffs, which was 1994, doing with that strike there. But in that time frame, you take out 1994, he had 14 straight appearances in the postseason with the Braves, those 4 NL pennants, the World Series champion, and just an absolute 5 NL pennants, if you include the one that was the World Series title. When you look at his managing career as a whole, he spent 4 years with the Jays and 25 with the Braves, for nearly a 30-year career where he got 2,504 wins to his name, to his 2001 losses, 5 pennants, the 1 World Series title. In the postseason, he was 67-69. But yeah, one of the best in the game to ever do it. He is in the Managerial Hall of Fame. He is also a 4-time Manager of the Year, and just a phenomenal manager and person around the game who will be missed dearly. So thoughts and prayers for his family, the Braves organization, and everyone involved in that. With that being said, we can start today's episode and get into our series recap. Leading things off, we have the A's and the Oilers. Nick Kurtz hits a 2-run triple that gives them the lead in the 5th. They hold on. The A's win it 4-3. In Game 2, Brent Rooker blasts a 3-run homer, helping the A's to a 6-2 victory. And in that last game, Gunnar Henderson and Dylan Beavers pick up RBI singles to help avoid the sweep. Baltimore wins it 2-1. Angels and the Blue Jays. Dylan Cease was masterful, striking out 10 halos through 7 innings in a 2-0 Blue Jays win. In Game 2, the Blue Jays would blow it open in the 5th, with 7 runs, including a 3-run home run from Brandon Valenzuela. Ernie Clement and Jesus Sanchez both also homer in this game, to which the Blue Jays won it 14-1. And in the last game is Oswald Peraza with the homer and Joe Adell with a 2-homer game. The Angels avoid the sweep with a 6-1 victory. Rays and Red Sox now. Junior Caminero hits his 10th homer of the season. Simpson comes off the bench and gets 3 RBIs in an 8-4 Rays victory. In Game 2, Wilyer Abreu and Ceddanne Rafaela both hit solo home runs in a 2-0 Red Sox win. A third game was moved to July 17th with rain canceling that one. And for that last game then on Sunday, Caminero hits another homer in the series in a 4-1 Rays win. The 4-game set becomes a 3-game set, to which the Rays win 2 of 3 against the Red Sox. Twins and Guardians. The Guardians capped off a 4-run first with the first career home run from Travis Bazzana as the Aussie helped start the series with a win 6-4 at the final. In the second game, Buxton homers. In extras we go. He hits an RBI double for the lead, and the rest of the Twins in this game were 0 for 30 with 15 strikeouts. Buxton alone wins it for the Twins 2-1 in 11 innings. And in the last game, the Twins rallied for 4 runs in the 5th, which was exactly what they needed to do in the last game to help the Twins, but it didn't matter because they still won, and they win this series 5-4, beating the Guardians. Tigers and Royals. The Royals scored 2 in the 8th to tie it, and then Kyle Isbell walks it off in the 9th. An RBI single completes the Royals' 3-run comeback, 4-3 Royals. In Game 2, Bobby Witt hits an inside-the-park homer. Michael Massey, a 3-run homer. The Royals win it 5-1, and in that last game, Gage Workman hits a go-ahead 2-run pinch hit home run. His first career MLB home run helps Tigers 6-3 the final in that one. Mariners and White Sox now. Luke Raley, what a day, hits a grand slam and a 3-run homer. 7 RBIs on home runs alone. Josh Naylor homers too, as did Julio for the Mariners. Murakami homers for the White Sox, as did Grichuk, but the Mariners hold on 12-8 the final. But here come the White Sox. Jose Montgomery, a homer in Game 2, and Miguel Vargas, a 2-homer game, helping the White Sox to a 6-1 victory. And in that final game, Grichuk homers again in the series, 2-1 Chicago. White Sox take 2 of 3 from the Mariners. Cubs and Rangers now. Seiya Suzuki hits his 7th homer of the season. The Cubs win 10 straight games, beating the Rangers 7-1. But in that second game, Josh Young homers, as does Justin Foscue, who hits his first career MLB home run to help the Rangers end the Cubs' winning streak, 6-0 Texas in that one. And in that rubber match, Evan Carter hits a 2-run homer in the 8th. That would seal it, 3-0 Texas. They win the series. Rockies and Phillies now. Hunter Goodman, Tyler Freeman both go deep for the Rockies. Schwarber for the Phillies, as did Justin Crawford, whose first career MLB home run was a game-tying 2-run shot. This one goes to extras thanks to him. The Rockies, though, score 2 in the 11th and hold the Phillies 9-7. Rockies win a thriller. But in Game 2, Schwarber hits another homer. Alec Boehm has a 2-homer game with 4 RBIs in a 9-3 Phillies win. And in that final game, Harper and Schwarber go back-to-back. And then later on, Schwarber, he does it again. His 2nd homer of the game, his 4th homer of the series in a 6-0 Phillies win to take 2 of 3 from Colorado. Nationals and Marlins. Jacob Young caps off 3-run first with a 2-run homer, which was enough for the win as the Nats hold on to a 3-2 victory. In the second game, James Wood goes deep. Kyle Stowers gets on the board, his first homer of the year, as did Xavier Edwards and Jacob Marcy. as those 3 Marlins homers helped them to an 8-7 victory. And in the rubber match, the Marlins break a tie in the 8th. They score 3 runs and get the win, 5-2, the final, taking 2 from 3 from the Nats. Astros and Reds. The Reds continue to slide here as the Astros go homer frenzy. Zach DeZenzo, Yordan Alvarez, Zach Cole, and Christian Vasquez all go deep in a 10-0 Astros win. But in that second game, the Reds do rally for 3 in the 5th as they put their 8-game skid in the rear view, ending it with a 3-1 win. And in that last game, Spencer Steer would go deep as the Reds get a much-needed series win, winning it 5-0 and taking 2 of 3 from the Astros. Yankees and Brewers. Jacob Misiorowski does his thing. 11 strikeouts as the Brewers score 4 in the second, leading them to a 6-0 victory. In the second game, Paul Goldschmidt goes deep for the Yankees. Jake Bauers goes deep for the Brewers. We go to extras where the Yankees get 1 run on the board. The Brewers get it back and then win it on a walk-off sac fly from William Contreras. 4-3 Brewers in 10. And in that last game, the Spencer Jones, he picks up his first career MLB hit and RBI on Mother's Day. We end up tied in the 9th, but Bryce Terang calls game with a special Mother's Day walk-off home run, and that sweeps the Yankees. Brewers win it 4-3. Big week for them. Big weekend, excuse me. Cardinals and Padres now in a 4-game set. Alec Burleson hits his 6th homer of the season, part of a 2-1 Cardinals win. We go into the next game where the Cardinals scored all 6 of their runs in the 5th inning alone, including a Little League inside the park grand slam from J.J. Weatherhold. How do you like that? 6-0 Cardinals in that one. But the next 2 games, the Padres get them back. Ty France, Manny Machado both go deep in a 4-2 win. And in the last game, Jordan Walker, a 2-run homer for the Cardinals. We were in the 9th with the Padres down to their last strike before Nick Castellanos hits the game-tying 2-run homer. We go to extras where Manny Machado walks it off with a sac fly to get the comeback win and split the 4-game series 2 apiece. 3-2 Padres, the final in that one. Pirates and Giants. Devers hits his 4th homer of the season. The Giants add 3 in the 7th, helping the difference in a 5-2 San Francisco win. In the second game, Bryce Eldridge hits his first career MLB home run, but the Pirates were rolling in this one, scoring 6 runs in the 7th as they blow out this game 13-3, the final. And in that last game, Connor Griffin, O'Neal Cruz, they go deep for the Pirates. Heliot Ramos homers for the Giants. This one goes to extras where both teams score 2 in the 10th, none in the 11th, but in the 12th, after holding the Buccos, the Giants walk it off. Jesus Rodriguez, the hero, with the RBI single. They win it 7-6. Mets and Diamondbacks now. Mark Vientos and Nolan Arenado both hit solo shot homers for their respective teams. We go into extras where the Mets score 2 on a couple of doubles and hold the Diamondbacks 3-1 New York, the final in that one. Ildemaro Vargas, a 2-run single in the 3rd, was all they needed in a 2-1 victory. And in that road match, we meet Ryan Walderschmidt, which is in his 2nd career start. He goes 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs, helping the Diamondbacks to a 5-1 victory and a series win over the Mets. Lastly, 2 of the top teams in baseball this year so far, the Braves and the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman, of course, former Brave many moons ago, he would go deep to help beat that former team. 3-1 Dodgers in that one. For Game 2, Blake Snell back from the IL, his first start of the season, but hits a snag in the 2nd. The Braves score 4 runs off of him, 5 runs total in a 7-2 Braves win. And in that last game, it's Drake Baldwin, it's Matt Olson. They both go deep in another 7-2 Braves win as they take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers and win the series. And that's your series recap. All right, now let's get to the game of the weekend. We're going to San Francisco for the rubber match between the Pirates and the Giants. In the top of the first, the Pirates strike Nick Gonzalez. An RBI single gets them the lead early. And the very next inning, it's the young phenom Connor Griffin. His 3rd homer of the season helps the Pirates to get 2-0 lead over the Giants. We go bottom third where the Giants get on the board thanks to Luis Arias with an RBI single to cut the lead in half. And then in the bottom of the fourth, Heliot Ramos' fourth homer of the season ties the game up. His solo shot makes it 2-2. But that only lasts half an inning as O'Neal Cruz would start the fifth. His 10th homer of the season, a solo shot, makes it 3-2 Pittsburgh as they get that run back and add another one in the top of the sixth as Spencer Horwitz picks up a double to score in a run for 2 Pirates. Bottom six, though, Heliot Ramos being a part of it again. He picks up an RBI double, and then Matt Chapman follows that with his own RBI double. 2 runners score. It's 4-4, and it would stay that way up until extra innings. We go to the top of the 10th with runners on for Spencer Horwitz, who delivers again. This time, it's a 2-run RBI double. The Pirates have a 2-run lead and just need to hold the Giants, but Willy Adames comes through for the Giants with 2 on. He picks up the 2 RBI single, and just like that, it's tied once again 6-6. We would stay that way into the 11th and into the 12th after the Giants held the Pirates. They would get the opportunity to walk off this game. Jesus Rodriguez picks up the RBI single. Giants walk it off. They win it 7-6. They take this series, beat the Pirates, and that was your game of the weekend. Great game there for the Giants. Much needed wins for the Giants coming up. They need to be getting hot sooner than later. As we get into our baseball news from the weekend here, let's start with some history and just some records and stuff. There was a lot of things to just kind of note that I saw that I was like jotting down throughout the weekend here. First things first, of course, Yankees did call up Spencer Jones, and with that, the Yankees became the first team on record with multiple position players that were 6'7" or taller in a season. Of course, Aaron Judge being one of them. Spencer Jones now is a second one of that. If you're wondering about Stan is not 6'7", but Spencer Jones is a tall, lanky guy. Spencer Jones, Judge. And that is some fun history there for y'all. Addison Barger, in his first game back from the IL, threw out a runner at home at a 101.2 mile per hour dart from right field. That is the fastest throw by a Blue Jay since at least 2015. It was a very impressive throw. Wanted to give a mention to that. How about Munetaka Murakami? It seems like every episode we're giving him a little bit of love here. He became the first player ever to homer in the first game of 8 straight series, which means if the White Sox play a opening series, there's a good chance he's going to homer right now. That's what's kind of at stake here for this week. The White Sox, I believe, open up a series with the Royals. So tomorrow is that first game. They have an off day today. So Murakami homers tomorrow. You heard it here first, folks. That's what we got here. And then the biggest piece of history really was Jacob Misiorowski. He had a historic first inning with his heater against the Yankees. He topped out at 103.6 miles per hour. He threw in this game 22 pitches at 102 miles per hour plus. That is the most in the pitch tracking era. And the fastest pitch from a starter before this game was Jordan Hicks back in 2022, where he topped out at 103.2. Jacob Misiorowski threw 7 pitches faster than that, ranging from 103.3 to 103.6. He threw 7 pitches in that range alone. So not only did he break the record, he broke the record and added 6 more pitches to that, including 22 pitches at 102 miles per hour plus in this start. Absolute dominant, 11 strikeouts in that game. We'll give him a little bit more love in the outstanding performances because that is outstanding. Sensational stuff here. Let's give some more love to the Chicago Cubs. We talked about them in the last episode. They were on a 9-game winning streak. They start this series with a win against the Rangers to make it 10. Again, they were the only team to have multiple 9+ winning streaks this season. Now they're the only team to have 2 10+ winning streaks in this season. And it's the first time since 1955. They're the first team since that 1955 Dodgers to have multiple 10+ game winning streaks before the 40th game of the season. That's pretty crazy when you think about it. Right now, they now are at 41. Before, when they got that win, there was game 39 of the season. They then lost game 40 and 41. They sit 27 and 14, but of course, we have a standings check later on, so we'll talk about them there. But the Cubs right now on a roll. The pitching has been great. The offense has been great. They are one of the hottest teams in baseball, and they've kind of taken over the Central just for a little bit. For so long, the gaps between the first place team and the second place team for the division has all kind of been one game, half a game, maybe 2 games. Besides the Atlanta Braves, who have kind of stormed away with the NL East. But the Cubs are currently in the mix here, being one of those teams to start building the gap between first and second. Brewers, of course, did get a 4-game winning streak against the Yankees to help that, but they're currently tied with the Cardinals, 3.5 games back of those Cubs. That is the second highest gap between divisions. Of course, the Braves and Phillies, the first one with 9-game difference. But again, we'll be talking about all of this in the standings check, but just giving up some special love to the Cubs here at this point in the season, because that is very impressive. Moving on, the last bit of news here. The Guardians and Giants made a trade, and it has some fans scratching their head. The Guardians are trading for Patrick Bailey, the Gold Glove catcher. In exchange, the Giants are receiving left-handed pitcher Matt Wilkinson, as well as a 2026 competitive-based Round A pick, which will end up being the 29th overall pick in this year's draft. Of course, it's very rare when you see draft picks get traded, because it's doesn't really happen. The only picks that I believe get traded are from the competitive balance round, so either round A, B, C, whatever it may end up being. But like normal draft picks like that don't get traded in baseball. So it is kind of interesting to see that. And I mean, a draft pick, 29th overall, it can be kind of viewed as a high price for a guy like Patrick Bailey, who fits the MO of the Guardians. But typically when you make trades, you trade for players that don't fit your MO, so you can kind of balance things out a little bit. You think of the Guardians, you think of this scrappy ball club that always ends up putting wins together. That's this pitching factory and with great defense, but the bats aren't usually there for Cleveland. They like to win those 1-run games, those 2-run games, 2-0, 3-1, the final. They're not a team that has a lot of power, that has a lot of, batting skills outside of Jose Ramirez. So it's just something that you kind of note here. But Patrick Bailey isn't really that offensively talented. He is very great defensively. And when you look at that tandem duo that the Guardians, have been running between Austin Hedges and Bo Naylor. Bo Naylor, obviously the better hitter in this situation, but his defense does tend to struggle. Hedges great defensively, but has no real offense. Patrick Bailey is similar to Hedges in this way, where he is, defense first. He's got okay numbers in his 3.5 years that he spent with the Giants. He played in 383 games. He's picked up 273 hits, 22 home runs in that time frame as well, 154 RBIs, batting a 224 batting average with a 611 OPS. The slug really isn't there for him. He can get on base, he can give you good at bats, but a lot of times going to result in him being out. But of course, in that 3.5 year, he's already a 2-time Gold Glove winner. So there is the talent there. Of course, he finished 7th in Rookie of the Year voting in 2023, and then in 24 and 25 won those Gold Gloves. He's looking to win a 3rd straight Gold Glove this year, and will now do so not as a member of the Giants, but as a member of the Cleveland Guardians. So we'll see how this goes. Again, the offense doesn't really there so far this season with the Giants. He was batting, 213. Sorry, that was his on-base percentage. He was batting 146 with a 396 slug. He had 1 home run, 12 hits. It was 12 for 82, 5 RBIs with 22 strikeouts. So again, not pretty numbers when you look offensively, but is a very gifted, talented defender. That fits the Cleveland Guardian MO. So that is the situation there with Patrick Bailey moving on into Cleveland's organization here. Moving on now, let's get into our hot and colds from the week. The best of the best comes from the Phillies. Bryce Harper getting hot here in the month of May. 9 for 21, a double, 4 homers, 5 RBIs, 7 runs, 4 walks, a 1.568 OPS. Phenomenal first week here for him, first full week, I guess you could say. Andy Pages has been great all season long for the Dodgers. 10 for 24, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, 5 runs, a 1.357 OPS. Riley Green comes in 10 for 21, 5 doubles, an RBI, 2 runs, a 1.274 OPS. Bobby Witt Jr. really getting going now. 11 for 27, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 4 RBIs, 7 runs, a 1.263 OPS. And lastly, Cody Bellinger, 9 for 24 with 2 doubles, 2 triples, 8 RBIs, and 4 runs, a 1.109 OPS for Belly. When you flip it over to the cold side of things, Manny Machado was definitely one of those players that just had it not working out. 1 for 27 with 9 strikeouts. Salvador Perez, 2 for 21 with 8 strikeouts. Trevor Story was 4 for 25 but did strike out 14 times this week. Corey Seager, 2 for 23 with 10 strikeouts. And Cal Raleigh, 0 for 20 with 10 Ks. He's in one of his biggest slumps ever in his career. I think when you go back to last week as well, I think he's at an 0 for 30 now, 0 for 31. So he is definitely in a slump right now, trying to get a hit any way he can get it. Mariners going to need that bat to get going real soon here. As we pivot now to our injury updates from the weekend here. A couple guys landing on the IL, including Tyler Glasnow, 15-day IL with lower back spasms. Travis d'Arnaud ends up on the 10-day IL with a plantar fasciitis. I believe I don't know how to pronounce that, so there you go. Cole Reagan's 15-day IL for the Royals, elbow impingement there. Jason Dominguez on the 10-day IL with a sprained shoulder, his left AC joint. Cade Povich on the 15-day IL with elbow inflammation. Brandon Lockridge on the 10-day IL with a knee contusion. He had a hard slide against the Yankees, going hard into that wall in left field, and was definitely in a lot of pain and discomfort. And lastly, Kerry Carpenter from Tigers, 10-day IL with a sprained shoulder, similar to Jason Dominguez, that left AC joint there for Carpenter here. And we'll move on now to our outstanding performances from the weekend. And let me tell you, there were some outstanding performances. This might be one of the biggest lists of guys we've ever had on any episode here. So let's get it rolling. Michael King, 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Dylan Cease, 7 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 10 strikeouts for him. Connelly Early, 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. Foster Griffin, 7 innings, 4 hits, a run, a walk, and 9 Ks. Mike Burrows, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, a walk, and 6 Ks. Jacob Mizorowski, 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. Michael McGreevy, 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. Nolan McLean, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Ryan Nelson, 6 2/3, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 Ks. Tanner Bybee, 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 9 Ks. Michael Wacha, 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Cam Schlittler, 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 6 Ks. Braxton Ashcraft, 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, no walks, 6 Ks. Merrill Kelly, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 6 Ks. Spencer Strider, 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. Jose Soriano, 7 2/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 Ks. Logan Gilbert, 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 9 strikeouts. Davis Martin, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 9 Ks. Jacob deGrom, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 10 strikeouts. Christopher Sanchez, 7 innings, 6 hits, no runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. And lastly, Eduardo Rodriguez, 8 1/3, 4 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 4 Ks. A massive list of outstanding performances from the weekend. Incredible stuff here. Let's now move on to our standings check and talk about what is going on in the divisions here. In the AL East, of course, the Yankees are still in control. They're 26 and 13. They've played 2 less games than the Rays. Or sorry, did I say the Yankees? That is an incorrect statement. The Tampa Bay Rays now lead the AL East. That 3-game sweep of the Brewers had me flip-flop for a second. The Rays are 26 and 13. The Yankees have played 2 more games and they have lost them both. They're 26 and 15. So the Rays have a full game lead over the Yankees. Blue Jays, the best of the rest right now at 18 and 22. Orioles at 18 and 23, just half a game behind them. And the Red Sox 17 and 23 in last, looking for anything to get going. But the Rays now in first in the East. For the AL Central, the Cleveland Guardians are 500 again. They're 21 and 21, but that still means they are first. But look who's a game back. It's the Chicago White Sox at 19 and 21, Tigers at 19 and 22, Royals at 19 and 22, Twins at 18 and 23. They have the closest first to last gap. When you look at the rest of the divisions here, the Rays and Red Sox, for example, Rays in first, Red Sox in last. 9.5 is the difference there between the Clevelands, who are first, and the Twins, who are last. That gap is 2.5 games. So while we're saying, the NL Central is a bloodbath with having all 5 teams over 500, the AL Central is also a bloodbath just for, hey, which team's going to win the division and get the 3 seed at this point, because everyone else is playing pretty poorly unless one of these teams gets hot. The AL West, the A's, and I guess the AL West is in a similar boat because the A's are in first at 21 and 19. The Rangers are 2 games back of them at 19 and 21. So similar to the AL Central here, only one team is up at or above 500. The rest are below. Mariners just a half a game back of Texas. They're at 19 and 22. And the Angels and Astros, 2 of the worst teams in baseball. Both of them are 16 and 25. The Astros season has really not go according to plan there. In the NL East, the Braves, 28 and 13. They are still the best team in baseball, and they're just 2 games before reaching their 30th win of the season, so we could see that come our next episode on Friday. They have a 9-game gap between both the Phillies and Marlins, who are 19 and 22 and tied for second, as are the Nationals. Sorry, there's a 3-way tie for second between the Phillies, Marlins, and Nationals. I'm sorry, Washington, I didn't see you down there at fourth, but all 3 of them are at 19 and 22. And the Mets, a few games back of that at 15 and 25. I believe they are actually the worst team in baseball as it stands right now, losing 2 against the who they face. I forget off the top of my head. But the Mets, they lost 2, and they are last. The Diamondbacks, right? Yeah, it was Arizona. The NL Central, the Cubs, of course, very good team. 2 10-game winning streaks will easily put them at 27 and 14, just a game back of the Braves for first. Overall, the Brewers are in second after that 4-game, or not 4-game sweep, but they're on a 4-game winning streak and a 3-game sweep over the Yankees. They're at 22 and 16, 3.5 back of the Cubs, as are the Cardinals at 23 and 17, an extra win and an extra loss for them. The Reds on that 8-game losing streak have slid into last, tied with the Pittsburgh Pirates, but again, both these teams are still above 500. They're both 22 and 19, and they may be 4th and 5th technically in the NL Central, but put them in the AL West, put them in the AL Central, and they are both first place teams. The NL has been dominant compared to the AL this season. I mean, you go across the AL East here, or the AL in general, you have 4 teams that are at 500 or above, in the A's, the Guardians, the Rays, and Yankees. Meanwhile, the Central alone has 5 teams above 500. It's a crazy, crazy world we're living in. Last division is the NL West, and thanks to a little bit of help, the Padres have finally been able to tie the Dodgers. Both those teams sit at 24 and 16, tied for first. Diamondbacks are at 19 and 20, 4.5 back of that. Giants 16 and 24, Rockies 16 and 25. They sit 8.5 back of first place. So again, going back to what I was saying earlier about how the Twins are 2.5 back of the Guardians for first, and the Twins are in last. Red Sox are 9.5 back of the Rays. Astros are 5.5 back of the A's. Mets 12.5 back of the Braves. Reds and Pirates 5 games back of the Cubs, and then the Rockies 8.5 back of the Padres/Dodgers. So that Twins gap at 2.5 is very not that big. The wild card's a mix-up now. Everything's a mess. But as it stands, the division leaders are your Tampa Bay Rays, your Cleveland Guardians, your Athletics, your Atlanta Braves, your Chicago Cubs, and then your Padres/Dodgers. It's very interesting, the AL, because the Rays, Guardians, and Athletics are not big spending teams, and yet they're the three that lead their division. How do you like that? When you take a look at the wild card right now, it's Yankees, Rangers, White Sox, and then the Dodgers, Brewers, Cardinals. That's right. The White Sox currently hold a playoff spot. But then again, like, you go from Texas all the way down to like the Astros, like all of those teams, which is pretty much every team, is 3.5 back of each other. Like everyone's in that same radius here. Battling between 16 and 25 and 19 and 21. But yeah, if the season started today, as I said earlier, there's only 4 teams that are above or at 500 in the AL, which means 2 teams, in this case right now, the Rangers and White Sox, would make the playoffs with a record below 500. I don't know if that will hold up. I don't think it would, but wow, has it been a slump right now in the AL. But yeah, meanwhile, in the NL, you've got your 6 teams that would occupy a playoff spot. The Pirates and Reds are 2 teams that wouldn't occupy a playoff spot, but have a record of 500 or better. In this case, they're above 3 games over 500. So yeah, right now the standings are all wild, all messed up here. But I digress about that. Let's get into the upcoming series for the weekend. What are you going to be watching this week? Did I say weekend? This week. The Phillies are going to Boston to take on the Red Sox. The Yankees will look to snap that losing streak with a win at least against Baltimore in Baltimore. The Oilers play there. The Rays, after sweeping the Blue Jays in the Trop, will try to do so again, this time in Toronto. The Rays are going up to take on the Blue Jays. You've got the Marlins at the Twins, the Royals at the White Sox. Can an AL Central team get hot and take over that division? That's the hope there. Angels, one of the worst teams in baseball, will take on the Guardians, who are currently first place in the Central with a 500 record. Diamondbacks will take on Texas. The Cardinals are going to Sacramento to take on the A's. Mariners and Astros. The Mariners have been in complete control of this series for a long time. I think they've won the last 8 or 9 games they've had against Houston, and Houston desperately needs to start winning some games. So that is a big series there. The Tigers will take on the Braves. The Cubs will take on I wrote this down wrong. Sorry, the Cubs take on the Braves. That is a big series. And who did I get wrong here? The Tigers are taking on the Mets. That's where my typo is from. The Tigers take on the Mets. The Cubs take on the Braves. That is a huge series. 2 of the best teams in baseball going at it. That is some baseball to watch for sure in Atlanta. If you're in the area, I would definitely recommend going out to one of those games. The Nationals are taking on the Reds. The Rockies take on why do I have so many typos? I have the Phillies down here, but the Phillies are in Boston to take on the Red Sox. The Rockies are going to Pittsburgh. I should have wrote the Pirates, not the Phillies. That's how you know I do this when I'm tired sometimes. The Padres are going to Milwaukee to take on the Brewers, and the Giants are in LA to take on the Dodgers. That is an interesting one, of course, as well. They got a little heated last time out when they were in San Francisco. Now they're going to be in LA. So that is another series to kind of watch for. So Giants, Dodgers, Cubs, Braves, those are 2 series that should produce some fun baseball this week. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we wrap up today's episode. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning on into another Middle of the Order experience. If you are new here and you like what I've done, hopefully things will be changing again real soon. I like to keep adding and trying different things here. Potential face cam coming soon, potential starting, who knows. But if you're new here and you did like it, please feel free to subscribe if you're on YouTube. Like the videos, download them and share them with your friends. Let them know, comment below. I love reading whatever comments that end up getting onto these videos here and onto these episodes. And I appreciate all of you very, very much, especially if you made it this far into the episode. So thank you, everybody, so much. And I will see you on Friday.